There really is nothing better than a good body reveal in horror, when the finding of a good corpse or two can change the direction the film was going in and improve it immeasurably. The wilder, the smarter, the kookier, the better. I'm Amy from What Culture, and let's take a look at the 10 most shocking body discoveries in horror movies. 10. Psycho. We have to start with this one to get it out of the way, as it is, after all, probably the most famous and well-loved body reveal in horror movie history. It certainly wouldn't be a push to say that nowadays, most horror fans who watch Psycho for the first time know the twist. It may well even be the reason they're watching in the first place. But back when the movie first hit screens in 1960, not a single audience member had a clue what they were in for. After an hour or so of watching things unfold at the Bates Motel, convinced that a mad old lady was the murderer behind it all, audiences received their first big shock when the sheriff explained how Mrs. Bates had been dead for years. Nothing could have prepared them, however, for that fateful moment when her mummified corpse is revealed in the basement. Little did Hitchcock know at the time, this moment would go on to become one of the most iconic and recognisable in the whole horror genre, alongside, of course, the famous shower scene. Even if critics at the time had some pretty mixed things to say about it, at the end of the day, the film's incredible legacy speaks for itself. 9. The Invisible Man 2020. From the old classics now to the modern masterpieces, we have 2020's The Invisible Man. Cecilia is a woman who's recently managed to escape an abusive relationship with her scientist boyfriend Adrian. Shortly after escaping, she's informed that Adrian's died, but she begins to experience weird, unexplainable things. She becomes convinced that he's following her and manipulating her environment, but that he's somehow invisible whilst doing it. We expect when she finally manages to take down a suited man in her friend's home that she'll peel off the suit's headpiece to reveal Adrian's face, thus proving that she's been right all along. Instead, we're met with the visage of Adrian's brother and accomplice, Tom. It's a great reveal because it not only takes us by surprise, but also confirms a theory about the existence of multiple invisibility suits. Furthermore, it implies that this ordeal is not over. Cecilia still isn't safe because Adrian is still alive and out there. 8. Oculus. This 2013 offering from director Mike Flanagan revolves around a family's turmoil being caused by a haunted mirror. As children, siblings Tim and Kaylee see their parents be driven insane and eventually killed by the mirror's doings. Years later in adulthood, Kaylee uses her job in an auction house to get hold of the mirror once more and attempts to study its powers. This was obviously just a horrible idea because her and her brother end up, of course, being sucked back into its game just like they were all those years ago. The two devise a kill switch of sorts, whereby the actioning of a trigger causes a heavy weight to swing down from above and smash the mirror, destroying it once and for all. Well, one day the both of them are sucked into individual hallucinations and Tim awakens, seemingly alone in the room with the mirror. He activates the switch and, as planned, the weight crashes down. Unfortunately, however, as a final act of savagery, the mirror has tricked him once again. As the illusion breaks, it's revealed that his sister was in fact standing in front of the mirror the whole time. By flicking that switch, Tim caused the weight to crash through his sister's neck, part breaking her neck and part impaling her. He's caused the death of his sister just as he did the death of his father, and once again is dragged kicking and screaming from the house with his whole family dead. 7. Midsommar. Some reveals are great because they're emotional or unexpected, or because they're unintentionally hilarious and gory. Midsommar, however, offers a quality in its corpses that's weirdly artistic. They're horrible and stomach-turning, don't get me wrong, but also so entrancing that you sort of can't look away. This is sort of a cheat entry because there's multiple reveals of bodies. One by one, we get to see each of Danny's friend group shown in some horrible, mutilated condition. We've got ritual execution, we've got chopped up and used for compost. We've even got a guy skinned alive and made into a firewood scarecrow. For the sake of picking one big reveal though, we of course have to look at the final scene as the corpses are placed into the temple that will then become the pyre. Encased in the body of a bear and unable to move, everyone's favourite terrible boyfriend Christian is finally ready to meet his maker. Not only this, but he also gets to meet his friends and acquaintances in their new deathly form. It's unnerving to say the least, but Midsommar made sure promising not to disappoint on a single reveal. And at this point, we also have to give an honourable mention to the opening sequence reveal of Danny's family. After hearing Christian insist again and again that everything will be fine, it's in equal parts satisfying and soul-crushing to see Danny's fears realised in full disturbing detail. 6. Halloween. Back on the classics now, we have 1978's original Halloween. After a seemingly endless time passing in which our protagonist Laurie is completely unaware of what's going on just across the road, we were all but guaranteed a great payoff moment when she finally found out. Venturing across the street after hearing her friend be strangled over the phone, Laurie enters an upstairs bedroom where she finds the bodies of her friends arranged about the place. Accompanying their corpses is the headstone that Michael earlier stole, that of his sister Judith Myers, placed in the centre of the bed and looking strangely intact for a piece of carved rock that's meant to be over a decade old. With one body on the bed and two more stuffed in the cupboards, this scene gives you a bang for your buck in terms of body count, as we're serenaded by that incessant high-pitched whine that became a mark of early 80s horror. This big reveal delivered on all the satisfaction we'd been counting on receiving. 5. Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter is one of the smartest killers out there. That's exactly what makes him so deadly and hard to control. He proved his prowess once again when making a daring escape from his guarded cell towards the end of the film, in which he managed to get a cushy escort right past the police and into the safety of an awaiting ambulance. Unbeknownst to the cops carefully monitoring the elevator and the rooms surrounding his opened cell, Lecter was already long gone. It wasn't until they found the body dripping blood through the lift's roof that they realised what had happened. Hannibal had stolen a guard's face and worn it all the way to freedom. This body discovery is so fantastic because it reveals the genius behind Lecter's madness, and gives way to a stomach-turning following scene in the ambulance where some poor paramedic faces the wrath of a cannibal scorned. 4. He knows you're alone. Soon-to-be-wed university student Amy has been followed by death for a little while, ever since she saw of her fiancé leaving for his bachelor party trip to be exact. She believes she's being stalked by a shadowy figure, and it seems that wherever she goes, she leaves chaos in her wake. First, the maker of her wedding dress is killed, then her friend and her friend's secret lover, next, another close friend of hers. Up until that death, however, she hadn't actually had to confront any bodies in person. Well, that all changes when she returns home after dropping her little sister at a birthday party, where she's met with the spectacle of her friend's severed head floating in a fish tank. Abnormal deaths always make for a good reveal, and a head floating in a fish tank certainly classes as abnormal. It does beg the question, however, what happened to the fish? 3. Curtains. Sticking with the trend of abnormal death displays, we have 1983's disturbing slasher Curtains. With the villain committing their brutal acts of murder whilst donning an oversized plastic old woman mask, there is something uniquely upsetting about this movie. Even in a world where we're all so desensitized to creepy stuff, there's just something about that gaping mouth and darkened eyes that evokes some kind of uncanny terror. One of the most unfortunate victims to fall at the hand of this villain is Christy, an ice skater who's come to a mansion house to audition for a role in a film. After earlier going out for a bit of ice skating practice on a frozen lake, she's attacked and eventually decapitated by our killer. However, she doesn't get the dignity of being left in state to be found. No, the next time we see Christy is as a fellow auditioner opens the toilet lid and finds her head stuffed in there. As if it wasn't bad enough to murder her horribly, clearly the killer had to go that extra step and dunk her head in toilet water. Not cool, man. Not cool. 2. Megan is missing. Talking about this film always just makes my skin crawl because it's one of those things that just, it shouldn't have been made. Megan is Missing came back into mainstream discussion just a few months ago when TikTok became aware of its existence. A found footage style exploitation film, it follows two young teenagers, the titular Megan and her friend Amy, who become dangerously entwined with a mystery man on the internet. It's one of those films that just doesn't need to be watched by anyone, so to save you the trouble, well, we're here to spoil the big twist for you. Megan isn't just missing, she's dead. She's very, very dead. In case there would have been any doubt about the truth in that statement, the film makes sure to show Megan's corpse in up-close detail. The quick lead up to the showing of the body cruelly gives us a bit of hope, with Amy and Megan's kidnapper reassuring Amy that he'll release her, he just needs her to get into this barrel so he can transport her. You know, without revealing where he lives to her, the standard stuff. Unfortunately, that was, of course, a fake out and there's no happy ending. Amy's forced into the barrel with her dead friend and buried alive in the woods. Films like this are why we don't deserve nice things. 1. Carnival of Souls. In our top spot, we have a film that you may not have heard of, but is widely thought to be the originator of the popular "they were dead all along" trope in cinema. After protagonist Mary survives a car accident which kills both of her friends, she begins to experience hallucinations of a pasty, unrecognized figure that's referred to as the man. Occasionally entranced by these visions, she acts strangely at times and consequently can't keep a job or friends. Sometimes she even finds it inexplicably that she becomes invisible and inaudible to everyone around her. Eventually, her visions force her into a frenzied state where she runs from them, collapsing on the beach. Well, when the police go to find her the next day, she's disappeared without a trace, and at the same time, the car in which the original accident occurred is pulled from a lake, and Mary's body is discovered in the front seat with her deceased friends. Modern audiences could probably easily guess where this film was going right from the start, but that's only because over the years other films have followed in this flick's footsteps, and it deserves a little credit for its influence on a now well-established trope. And that's it for this list of 10 most shocking body discoveries in horror movies. If you can think of any more, then let us know in the comments down below, and remember to check out whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day. I've been Amy from What Culture, and I'll catch you next time.